So hear from the CEO Jānis and Arvydas, partner at Practica, about how the technology and vision behind the groundbreaking innovation came to be. What is this new standard for simplicity and security in payments? Welcome.
Round of applause. Let's welcome.
Have fun, guys.
Good afternoon, everyone. I cannot see anything. It's sunlight on sunlight. It's light directly to the face. So we don't know how many of you are there. But Jānis, welcome. First time on stage.
Yes, thank you. Hello, Telchik. TechChill. I'm happy to be here. This is my first time, and yeah, let's do it. Let's discuss about biometrics.
Yeah, so we couldn't pick a most boring topic. It's like future of payments, and I think we will try not to discuss payments so much as the future part of it, right? And still, we have to start somewhere, so why not describe a bit on the offline payment infrastructure, right? It's been credit card and this POS device and NFC, and it looks like we're, AI agent world, everything is self-driving cars, but the way we check out at a retail store is all the same. Maybe QR code is the innovation that kind of comes, but this whole thing is not really challenged or innovated, right? So how do you see this?
Yeah, I think to bit simplify, I think currently the world is starting to go into the third era of the payments. The first payment was the cards itself, because like at 1950s, when the technology started to appear, the bank starts to offer the payment cards. And people were offered to get the card, to go to market, and to buy things with the card, not the coins anymore. And after 40 years, the next era, the second era of the payment started, and it was contactless. And currently we are living in the contactless world, because at the beginning it was the contactless cards, then it was contactless wallets, and people start to use Apple Pay, Google Pay, different kind of services. And at the moment, by the statistics, 90% of the cards transactions are done by the contactless. And what we are seeing now, the third era has started, and it calls biometrics. And of course, what we can learn from the previous eras is that it will take a time when it will be all around the world. I think there will be different kind of solutions of the biometrics which we will use. For some it will be face recognition, for some of it will be palm recognition, maybe even the A-scan technology, but definitely in 5-10 years we will be there, and it will be our daily habit to use such solutions.
Okay, so biometrics is not like a new thing, like it's been for ages, and I know there's a big company in Riga, another one in Lithuania, and I'm not sure about Estonia, but access control, many things. Verif, I think also like Estonian unicorn is also doing something with biometrics. ADV, all the know your client procedures. So it's not like a new thing to scan the palm and so on. So what happened that suddenly payment are so excited about something that existed for such a long time?
Yeah, I think people already are using biometrics only on their devices. And each of the year, more and more people are onboarding their biometric data into the device. And especially in the last 5 years, it becomes like a normal habit that you are like unlocking your phone with the face or with the fingerprint scanning. So I think the people start really get used that it's biometrics in their daily life. But always was the question, you can do it for the e-commerce payment, right? To unlock your mobile phone or like unlock on the POS terminal, the mobile device, but it's still dependent on the device, right? And still it's something which you need with yourself, or otherwise there will be no biometrics as such, right? And I think the technology and the customer habits has went so far that currently people are ready to start to think about integrate those new biometric solutions into the bank, into the finance world. The companies who owns POS terminals understood, especially that during last year there was huge announcements by the Visa and MasterCard that their strategy to make biometric payments till 2030 as much as possible. So, and it's usually when the finance industry starts to believe that, and all the partners into the finance industry starts to think about the projects. It's just a matter of time when where the biometrics will be everywhere, like around the world. So,
could you maybe could we zoom in on this Face ID, like Apple or any device, right? It's something that, you know, when discussing and when we started conversation, it looks like obvious, right? You know, Apple already solved it. Like, you have your Face ID and that's it. You have your phone with you everywhere. Like, and do you really need it, right? So it looks like it's solved. Like biometrics, Face ID. Why there's any need to have an independent sensor or any other like technology at the point of sale or somewhere else?
Yeah, I think it was like, it's the same if you would ask a person 30 years ago if you have any problems to pay with the card, they would tell no. It's like comparing the paying with the coins, it's much more convenient and easier and more secure, and like it's done. Like, why we need something else? But when the contactless start to appear, it was much more convenient, right? Because like you don't need to enter the card anywhere and enter the PIN code, and it just makes our daily life much easier, right? And I think that's the answer as well why the people will use biometrics, because the user experience of using such kind of tools, for example, imagine you are going to the shop and currently you're using the payment card or device loyalty and age verification, and all those three things can be replaced just by showing the palm scan contactlessly, and the customer experience is in 5 seconds. So meaning it's much easier, much faster, much secured, right? Because it's very hard to store your biometrics. And when the people will start to use it, they will understand that, yeah, it's much more convenient. Why I shouldn't use it like everywhere, right? So it's like how I'm seeing it is that it will not be one company as such as Handwave who will promote it, that it's like a next technology for the universe. It's like the industry who will promote it, and the industry all together with all our 4 competitors, including providing this technology around the world, will give the sense to people, so they should start to use it. So,
okay, it's interesting take, I would say. Yeah, because when you kind of think about it, if you even use Apple ID, right? The merchants or retailers, or they, due to GDPR, they still cannot tie your identity to the card. So you still, like, no matter how you pay by card, like for Apple ID. So there is a lot for the merchants, and that's why, you know, the Google and Apple, this fight on the European Commission on this App Store dominance, where they don't simply, they do not transfer, do not share any user details, personal details with the game publishers, and it's a big problem for gamers, right? And they charge for 30%. So I think it's the same with like Face ID. You kind of merchant understands that the kind of blank and last 4 numbers were used, but they cannot tie it to a person. So I think with PAM-based and what you're building, you can actually achieve much more to the merchant. So you can democratize this kind of identity behind payments business as well.
Yeah, definitely, because in our way, how we are planning to build the product and what we have aligned with our partners, like in the finance industry, is that biometrics can be used as an identification and authorization. So it means that you can say that you are yourself, and basically you can avoid PIN codes, you can avoid different other cards just to prove with that. And we didn't know that actually 1.5 years ago, because we thought, yeah, it makes sense and it should be nice value propositions for our clients. But now that we are going into the details with them, especially with the retailers, we start to understand that biometrics are solving plenty of the pain points what they have. and their cost, it's their daily cost, and Apple Pay and Google Pay are not anyhow helping to resolve those pain points. And I think it just, in that sense, makes sense that when the Apple Pay and Google Pay start to be like a dominant player in the world, and especially the finance industry was just in the position that they can just switch it over and they need to confirm their terms and prices and so on, they start to feel that, yeah, but it would be good if there would be a different payment methods, right? And we are starting to see it around the world, because in the Baltics and in Europe as such, we don't have that much of the innovations, I would say. But for example, in Japan, there's company PayPay, and majority of the people are paying with the PayPay, and it's based on the QR codes. So it means that people are not using that much of the Apple Pay and Google Pay there. And as well, it's like an indication that industry around the world is ready to implement different kind of solutions. And the fact that we are using here in the Baltics Apple Pay, Google Pay mostly doesn't mean that much for the global perspective. And especially if you're thinking about biometrics worldwide, in India or in Latin America, there are already a lot of solutions where the biometrics are implemented, and there are several kind of service providers who are like playing around of the palm technology, face recognition, fingerprint, and so on to choose the ultimate one which will be used. And I think it will just happen the same as well here in the Europe, right?
And maybe shifting gears a bit, what are you building at Handwave, right? And which biometrics you chose to adopt?
Yeah, we chose the palm scanning, and it was we actually went through the 3 years of the learning curve because the idea was at the beginning to use palm scanning,
this is palm scanning is not like in fortune teller scanning. It's
no.
More complex. Or
yeah, palm scanning is like when you're showing your palm. And based on the vein structures, we are generating ID code. So basically, I believe a lot of you have heard about the chips, which has been put into the skin like 6-7 years ago. There was a company, but we are not doing it that way. So we are using what you already have, the vein structure, the vein depth, the blood circulations, and so on. And we are building the machine learning algorithms which can generate completely unique ID code of yourself. That is one part. And the second part was to think how to integrate with the daily service providers. Because like if you will build just the technology, then it's like millions of questions, how it will be used, how it will be integrated, who will promote it, and so on. So we, in that sense, innovating the concept like biometric wallet. It's the profile for you, where you are like registering your palm scan through the mobile device without any extra device, and afterwards you will be capable to use your palm wherever we are integrated. It's in the retail shops, the public transportation, the events, for example, like TechChill, like currently we have those badges, but those can easily be replaced by the palm scanning to entry in. And in that sense, we are innovating the biometrics as a service concept, because everyone knows what is service as a service, and we are using that for like cloud and infrastructures and so on. But biometric service is a super new concept, but it works in that way that there is a place where your data is stored, and that place is integrated with different kind of service providers all around the world. And we are not sharing the data, definitely. We are storing on us, and that's why we are like heavily regulated company. But you will be capable to use it wherever you want. And why it's palm? Because we went quite a hectic market research around the world. We went to the different countries and regions, Japan, United States, Europe, like Middle East, and so on. And we had discussions with more than 500-600 people from the banks, retailers, public transportation, and so on. And their statement was that they don't want to go with face because there's ethical issues. Because imagine the world if your face would be like stored in hundreds of different service providers, and there would be cameras all around and would try to get your face and so on. And a lot of companies just closing those projects with the face. Fingerprint have just technical limitations of accuracy, and their recognition is completely different user habit, because you just need to stay with open eyes and just wait for the scanner to check your eye and so on. So it's super complex and super, I would say, inconvenient. But the palm scanning in that sense is the habit like what we are using already, because you're taking your mobile phone and you're like tapping with your right or left hand on the POS terminal, and that will be the same idea how it will be work together with Handwave. You will go to the, for example, retailer shop, and you will just show the palm on the POS terminal, like contactlessly, and basically that's it. So, and yeah, it looks that we are going into the right direction, because last year a lot of big finance organizations announced that they are more interested into the palm scanning. So it looks like maybe not. Let's see in the 10 years, but like most probably palm will be one of the most used biometric option like globally.
Yeah, as investor, I always like to get something for free. So, like, need to use this opportunity. And Jānis, it's like, I guess when you speak to the banks, investors,
that's it.
Yeah, I guess when you speak with the banks, investors, and whatnot, right? It's extremely hard to imagine the friction you will see in the market, right? Okay. Because going like and just waving your hand and scanning the palm towards the payments, you can understand the principle, but like the wall of point of sales terminals you have to change. The banks are the most conservative invention or like a structure ever invented. They were never the first with any innovation, right? They are not in the risk business, right? They are lending, but it's hard to imagine that they will, push this innovation. Acquirers, they are all for innovation, but then the merchants have to actually want it. And the consumer also, it's not clear, they will adopt or not. So how you, because even when we were started talking to you and we talked to all of our advisors, right? Everyone is like, oof, it's extremely hard to do it. So how you plan to dissect this, and how you plan to roll it out? Because we could talk how nice it is and draw a lot of drawings here and then and wave our hands and dance, but you have to start somewhere. So how you plan to do it?
Yeah, you are right about complexity, because I think, especially when a year ago we start to think about, investments, and we talk about a lot of people around here in Baltics and Europe, and none of the people really understand what we are doing, because it's so much complex and it involves so much details. And this is our third year as a company, and we realized that value proposition for all of the partners is the thing why even they would like to cooperate with us. Because especially for the banks, they like to calculate the finances, right? And if you start to understand like how those transaction fees are working and who is paying to what and so on, and how you can use it for the biometric payments, you can make the value proposition for the bank, so they are super interested. And the same goes for acquiring companies, and the same goes as well for the retailers. And in that sense, it's already happening not only in the biometrics, but for example, account-to-account payments or like crypto payments, like the way how the fees are going to each of the partners are changing a lot. And I think after those 3 years, we have found a sweet spot, so that all the partners are interested and motivated, not only because of idea, but as well from the financial perspective to implement it. And I think that's the super transparency of the biometrics itself, because like if the biometrics is the next technology, how everyone's saying now into the world, it should make the value not only for the customer, but only for the business, right? Because then business is super motivated to implement it. And I think we are very, very far with that, because those 3 years were basically only with discussions, like discussing. So
I think we're running out of time, but like a personal note to myself is there are rarely innovators in the space, and we had Kevin and Lithuania attended how it ended, but you know they were dreaming super big, account-to-account payments. They got all the backing they could. And to roll out in this super conservative industry where a lot of things had to work all at once. I think Latvia has an entrepreneur right now, Jānis and Sandis and the team, that dare to dream big, and I wish you luck. And go Latvia. This is something interesting happening finally.
Good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.